So let's now turn our attention to the big one, the Anambra governorship election. Well, it's been weeks and months of preparations, and we got a first taste on Saturday when INEC conducted that election, but it was a stalemate of sorts as one local government area was outstanding, which is Ihiala, and INEC decided to conduct that election today. So voting is done in Ihiala. All eyes are now on INEC to make the votes count and announce the winner of the election. But here's a breakdown of what's at stake in Ihiala, so to speak. So those are the numbers of areas and wards in Ihiala. A number of polling units, 323. But the big one, which is the number of voters, or at least votes at stake in this supplementary election, 148,407 registered voters in that local government area. So if you were to look at the top local government areas in Anambra State with number of registered voters, Ihiala is actually 7th on that list. So this is what you might call a major battleground for the political parties, well, at least the frontliners as it stands right now. Of course, you have polling units with less than 50 registered voters, but this just paints a picture of what to expect. But overall, as it stands right now, with the results we have seen so far, you will see that, well, APGA is in the lead with a number of local government areas that the party has secured. The PDP has one, the YPP as well has one, and APGA has a total of 18 local government areas won by its candidate, Chukwuma Soludo. And there you see the one for PDP, Ogbaru, and in Nnewi North. So that sort of paints a picture of what's at stake here and what to expect tonight, as it were. But let's get into the conversation. I mean, what are the lessons as we look ahead to future polls, Osun, Ekiti, and of course the 2023 general elections? Tonight on the program, we're joined by Mr. Jibrin Okutekpa, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He joins us from our Abuja studio. It's good to have you on the program, Mr. Okutekpa. I know that you have different lenses through which you will view this election, but let me just ask for your immediate thoughts. From the conduct of the election on Saturday to the conduct of the election today, what would you say has been your personal opinion about this election?
Well, Coyote, thank you for having me this night. And I think that Nigerian democracy, speaking for myself, is a militarized democracy in which the freedom to elect candidates of our choice or candidates at an election has been characterized by either threats of some group of persons who says that election shouldn't hold, and we are aware of the order and the subsequent suspension of that order by some group of persons, and then the election, the number of security agencies that were sent to Anambra to conduct these elections, which is so huge, that in my estimation, in a place where democracy is actually practiced and where the election is supposed to be free, fair, and credible, the presence of military personnel and other security agencies, in my estimation, may have unwittingly infused electoral timidity in some persons to come out and vote. So having said that, looking at the statistics you have reeled out, my personal opinion, which views I have consistently held, notwithstanding that there are decisions of our court, is that by the provisions of Section 179, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Constitution has clearly defined how the governorship elections in any particular state of Nigeria is to be won. And it says in any election to the office of the governor, where there are more than 2 or 3 candidates, a person shall be deemed to have been elected as governor of that state, where 1, he has the highest number of votes cast at the election, 2, and he has not less than 1/4 of all the votes cast in each of at least 2/3 of all the local governments area in the state. From your analysis, therefore, Anambra State, I'm told, has 21 local government. A political party is said to have won in 18 out of 21. So when you make your mathematical calculation and deduction, therefore, you will understand from my own perspective as lawyers that the election into the governorship of Anambra State by constitutional provisions has clearly been won by a candidate.
Well,
but I'm
Mr.
not going
Okutekpa,
to name it, but you know from...
The good thing is that, I mean, you're a senior advocate of Nigeria. You're not a member or an official of INEC. So we'll just stick to our area of expertise, as it were. I understand that there are a lot of projections looking at the figures, but that's why we have INEC. And INEC has the constitutional backing to conduct elections, and not just conduct it, announce the winners. And that's what we're looking forward to by 9 p.m. today. But a couple of issues you have raised nonetheless. We've talked about militarization of elections, and I'd like to begin from there as a follow-up. So you said that there was voter timidity, as it were. But if you were to choose between voter timidity and, or election timidity, as you said, and election violence, which one would you go for? Because the police will tell you, the military will tell you, the reason we're deploying is to forestall violence, and you know the background of the state so well. So which would you choose, really, if you were to choose?
Well, the purpose of security agencies by our law and our constitution is to maintain peace and stability, but you are also aware of the historical and the antecedents of our electoral processes in Nigeria, where allegations are made about, I'm not saying that happens in this Anambra State, but if we draw our experiences from previous cases where violence were covered, were reportedly unleashed on electorates and voters in an elections. Nigerians are not people who forget some sort of intimidation very easily. So that could have some kind of influence on the electorate. Nigerians will be asking you and I, when did our military and the security agencies become born again to maintain absolute political neutrality? Those are questions that those who are on the field should be able to provide an answer to it. But from what I have seen on the television and pages of newspaper, one may give kudos to our security agency in this one. But the point I was driving at, which appears to you to be an announcement of result, which I am not competent to do, is analysis of section 179, subsection 2 of our Constitution. And when the constitutional provisions are made, the question then is, and it has covered the field, as to how a candidate, either in the office of the office of the president or the governorship of a state, is to emerge, where constitutional democracy is practiced and the rule of law holds sway, and the superiority of our Constitution, which is the ground norm, put it technically, the supremacy of the Constitution holds sway, then we look onto the Constitution and not onto any electoral guideline which is inferior and not superior to the constitutional provision.
So, Mr. Okutekpa, it sounds to me as though you are saying that that election should not have held. It sounds like that's what you're saying. But we'll break that down. Interestingly, we're joined on the program tonight by the REC in Anambra State, INEC REC in Anambra State, Dr. Okutekpa Orji. He joins us live from the thick of things, as it were. Dr. Orji, it's good to have you on Politics Today. I know you're a regular face now, not just on Politics Today, but, I mean, regarding this election, as it were, from the build-up up till this moment. So let me ask you, regarding the conduct of the supplementary election today, what is your early assessment of what played out between, is it 10 a.m., is it 12 noon, and 4 p.m. today?
My sense is that everything has gone very well. we made quite serious mobilization, in the previous days. Immediately we received the information that a supplementary election is required for today. We began our plans, and I think that we are happy with what we achieved today.
So, in terms of mobilization and logistics, because clearly in a lot of polling units, elections started way behind schedule. In fact, as at 10, 11, even 12, we had some of the ad hoc officials still, loitering around the office, the local government office. And one was wondering, we thought this was meant to happen hours before 10 a.m. Don't forget, the election was even shifted to 10 a.m. So regarding this mobilization and logistics, what does that mean exactly when you say that was a problem? Can you give us the nitty-gritty of that? What specifically was a problem?
Okay, let me just say it clear. Yesterday we began mobilization for this election, and the first initial team we sent out to go to Ihiala to prepare the grounds for our intervention had major challenges. We were attacked, two teams from our office were attacked on the way to Ihiala. They sustained various forms of injuries. In fact, some of them are still at the University of Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital fighting for their life as we speak. So that was a major setback for us. So we had to pull back. I mean, the first set of people that were able to get themselves into Ihiala arrived around 10 p.m. yesterday. So that was a major challenge. By the time we were able to regroup and to be able to take control of the environment, it was late into this morning.
And it begs the question, hearing that they were attacked by who? And I mean, I expect that they have security deployment around them. I mean, the police has deployed, 34,000 men, and that's aside the NSCDC and others. And I imagine for Ihiala, you have substantial reinforcement. So, was that a failure of security, failure of intelligence? What exactly happened?
It's not my place to make clear that. But what I would say is that we could not establish. I think the security agencies are on this, but the point is that that attack was a major setback.
So pointedly, were they accompanied by security agencies?
Sure, they were.
Was the accompaniment, was it enough?
I cannot state whether it was enough, because I mean, if you are doing electoral operation, you are moving a large number of people, and people go in different sequence, and then they have to be escorted by I think they suffered an ambush. So it's really hard to describe.
We really hope and pray that they recover quick. I mean, they were working for the nation, on this assignment when they were ambushed. And it raises a question, from what you have heard so far, do you know who attacked them? Do you know if this was just a random attack or it was planned by a group? What exactly do you know so far?
I have not really paid attention to understanding what happened, because all our minds was getting Ihiala out of the way so that we can be able to conclude the Anambra governorship election. And that is our focus for now.
So the question also that comes up time and again, and I think that has been brought up in recent times, is the synergy between INEC and security agencies. This is some sort of post-mortem, because I think it's important to diagnose areas we can improve on. People have commended INEC, I should say, in some areas, but clearly there are areas we can improve on. So regarding security, maybe with the Commissioner of Police or with the man in charge of security, how would you describe a synergy between INEC and security agencies?
I think that we have had good synergy. We have worked together nicely, the security agencies and INEC. And that the result is that we are able to conduct the Anambra governorship election. This is one election that many people didn't give any chance. This is one election that failure would have, been a major setback for democracy in this country. And we have been able to pull it off. It is the synergy of the commission and the security agencies that led to this. And I think that it's something that is highly commendable.
Well, I did expect that you were going to say that. But so let's come back to logistics, Dr. Orji, because this is a joint work, right? This is also our civic duty to ensure that we keep improving on our electoral process. So when you look at reasons, top reasons that are given for, elections not really performing up to par in Nigeria, you hear issues of logistics, late arrival of materials, issues like vote buying, violence, and the rest. So we've touched on the violence side, but about logistics, really, for one more time, if we could just sort this out. What happened to the transportation plans? Because we saw buses that were parked right there, and they were not one, they were not two or three, and we saw people still waiting as well. So is it that the transporters were not paid, they were not mobilized on time, or the people did not want to be deployed? What exactly happened there?
I mean, election is a reflection of the state of the nation. And it shows the level of development of different sectors of the Nigerian society. We are dealing with a transport system that is not very organized, a transport system that is highly privatized, and then you have to find a way of bringing the operators into the system to work with your timelines. This is something that has been extremely difficult to achieve, because these are people that are not used to working in an organized way. An election has to follow an organized template. And you have to submit your system sometimes to their whims and caprices. And that's what we face on a daily basis.
So in terms of lessons learned, Dr. Orji, I know this will form a major part of conversation with INEC, stakeholders, CSOs, and other arms of government moving forward. What would you say has been the biggest lesson for you during the conduct of this election?
For Anambra 2021, I think that one thing I'm taking out of this is that once there's a will, there will be a way. I salute the sacrifices of the staff of the commission. I salute the determination of the commission in itself to go ahead with this election, which many people did not give us a chance at all to in the last few weeks. I have seen many people who didn't believe that Anambra election would be conducted. But today, hopefully by the end of the day, we'll be concluding that process. So for the commission, I think that one thing we have drawn from this is to constantly push. Once we have set out our goals, our timelines, our guidelines, our schedules, we push it through. Secondly, for me, I think that we have to sustain engagement and collaboration. It is our engagement and collaboration with the security agencies, especially, that help to, in the success we have achieved these last few days.
Final note, Dr. Orji. I was having a conversation with Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Okutekpa, just before you joined, and he was saying that according to the Constitution, that the winner is clear, and it sounded like he was wondering why we needed to do the supplementary election. And a lot of other people have asked also that which parties, which candidates are vying this time around? Is it for all candidates or just for 3 frontline or 2 frontline candidates? If you could just touch on that as we wind down.
No, the decision we took on Sunday night was basically to bring Ihiala local governments at par with other local governments in the state, because that was the only local government out of the 21 in the state where election did not take place. And we felt that because that local government has been left out, it's important that it completes the 21 so that we can make a determination of the 25%, of the votes cast in two-thirds of the local governments.
Okay, so was this between the APGA candidates, the PDP candidate, and the APC candidate, or between two of them? How many?
The election was for all the 18 candidates that are in the race. So it's not for a few of them. It's for everybody.
Well, Dr. Nkwachuku Orji, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to update Nigerians on the conduct of the election in Anambra State. Thank you again, and we wish you the very best.
My pleasure.
So let's head back to our Abuja studio where Mr. Okutekpa is sitting by. So, Mr. Okutekpa, you heard the INEC correct there saying they needed to bring in Ihiala local government area. So, is that enough for you? Is that enough explanation as to why this had to be done?
Kayode, I think Nigerians will need to respect our constitution more than to engage in administrative and political decisions that may be in breach of our constitution. The views I have held are clear to anyone who can read and write the Nigerian constitution. So I wouldn't want to press more, but I think a time has come when we need to interrogate our electoral process from what the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Orji, had said. You will agree with me that if we had adhered strictly to the provisions of Section 179, subsection 2 of our Constitution, the necessity of people being attacked and being in the hospital would have not been there. Our draftsmen of our Constitution had everything in mind when they put a ceiling and a provisions in our Constitution how a candidate either in the governorship election or in the presidential election should emerge. And time has come when we should pay absolute respect, obedience, and fidelity to Nigerian Constitution. After all, Section 1, subsection 1 of the Constitution said the Constitution is supreme. And what that means is that every other thing, including administrative decisions, must kowtow and bow to the supremacy of Nigerian Constitution. And the Supreme Court says so in INEC versus Balarabe Musa, when INEC purported at that material time to bring out guidelines on how a political party should be registered. So my take is that I have consistently held this view. I canvass it in the court, but one day maybe we will take a closer look at it, because I sympathize with those who are in the hospital, and like he rightly admitted, you talk about security agencies, and I had my doubt as to whether, notwithstanding the quantum of the numbers of security agencies, whether indeed they are psychologically prepared and in terms of weapons at their disposal compared to those who have taken it upon themselves to make Nigeria ungovernable.
Right.
So for me, time has come when we must give the name that is due for what we need to say, and that name is called truth. There's no way you can give a baptismal name of wrong to truth and make it to become truth. So
Mr. Okutekpa,
we look at our constitution.
Right. Well, time has also come for us to take a break on the program, but would like to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on this issue. Mr. Jibrin Okutekpa is a senior advocate of Nigeria, and he's been speaking on the conduct of that election in Anambra State and the legal and constitutional perspectives to that. Thank you again for your time, Mr. Okutekpa.
Thank you, Kayode. God bless you. I hope one day my name will be properly spelled.
Well, that's noted, Mr. Okutekpa. We'll go on a break now, and when we return, we'll shuttle between what's currently playing out in Anambra State and what played out in the National Assembly earlier in the day with the passing of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. To what extent will that improve our electoral process? That's in a moment. Just stay with us.